establish the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this case.
Nama aku Ehsan. Aku berumur 28 tahun. Seorang eksekutif pentadbiran bergaji RM3,500. Aku kini masih lagi tinggal bersama ibu bapaku. Tapi aku punya perancangan untuk mulakan keluargaku sendiri, punya rumah tanggaku sendiri. Malang sekali harga rumah di pasaran melonjak tinggi dan jauh dari kemampuan aku. Hutang kredit kad, hutang pendidikan dan pinjaman kereta sedia ada jadi beban. Tanggungan kewangan jadi satu cabaran dan halangan untuk aku terus maju ke depan.
Who expected Jaya to lose direction in 1985? Nobody, not even PBS.
But despite the fact that we have not got a proper agreement, just an understanding agreement between PBS and USNO, Tun Mustafa also went all out to campaign for both PBS and USNO. That is how we won.
But he betrayed us. So when people are betrayed, they can use anything, to retaliate.
They stir the foreigner to fight against the local citizen demonstration, which is very, very wrong. Because any government, either the opposition or the PM government, the first priority is to protect their own children, their citizens.
Today is the press conference is actually to discuss or to talk about the Freedom Arts Fest, which is happening on the 22-23 of September, which is actually next weekend. Yeah, it's organized by COMAS. COMAS is a NGO. Now NGO, now better say NPO, non-profit. The word organization is becoming criminalized. So anyway, COMAS has been actually a human rights NGO that actually uses a lot of creative methods to promote and advocate human rights. We've been doing it since 1993, so it's actually our 20 years coming, yeah, it's 20 years this year actually, or next year. Yeah. As for the Freedom Film Fest, this would be our 10th year, our 9th festival, but our 10th year. We started in 2003. Yeah, and so because it's our 10th year, we thought we'll celebrate it with a little bit more festivity, and we tried to have an arts fest. Yeah, over the 2 days, 22 and 23, we will be not only screening like about 30 human rights films. A lot of them are award-winning, but also we have workshops, art and activism workshops, and we have exhibitions. Yeah, so we try to kind of like make it more inclusive for everyone. So we have even like a session for young children. We have a session in the cabaret here, which will be for children from 10 to 15. We have special screenings for them, and we also have an art and an activity workshop after that. And so Film Fest, what we do is we have a proposal competition. So people sending their films. And these films should be like human rights films and about Malaysia. Yeah? And then we choose the best 3 proposals, and then we give them the grant of about $6,000 plus some production support to make their film. And so this year, our 3 winners who won the film proposal competition and have subsequently made their film, which will be premiered on the 22nd night.
Well, I just thought that the Sabah rights, fit into the theme very well. And then after I got the grant and I did continue my research, I realized like, oh wow, okay, I'm going to be in so much trouble for this. But it's such an amazing story because it's so pivotal. It's so I guess appropriate for now, because you have this election, where the politicians were not happy with the results of it, and then so they started a demonstration, and then it wasn't so much that they got the local Sabahans to demonstrate. They were illegal. Most of the demonstrators, about 3,000 to 5,000 of them, well, let's say 3,000, because there's not a very good, there isn't, an accurate estimate. Most of them were illegal immigrants protesting against the chief minister, the appointment of the chief minister, when they don't even have the right to vote. So essentially, you have the way that Sabah is now is that the country is that politicians essentially have a direct relationship with the illegal immigrants today. We can see that with Project IC, and we can see that with and that's why we have the RCI right now. And I guess the Sabah riots really sort of sums up that relationship between Sabahan politicians and the illegal immigrants, and how just the civilians are caught in between.
I did the film on Teo Beng Hock, on the late Teo Beng Hock, and just to give you the context, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm not someone who's done anything in this creative process before. I am a very boring, nerd. I'm a policy research officer. I used to work for the Selangor Menteri Besar, so all I know are documents and numbers and analysis. And but the reason this was so important to me was because I was actually there at the government when Teo Beng Hock died. After that incident, I was involved behind the scene. I was called on by the Menteri Besar to take on the case as the liaison officer. I personally was, there trying to contact doctors to help us and people to help us independently. And so going through the whole process was a real struggle. And after, 3 years, many of the friends and family realized that things had not been resolved yet. And in a way, this was my own way of coming to a resolution within myself to sort of have a sort of closure to the subject. But the film itself will not promise you closure or answers. I think I just want to put the facts out there and for people to make their own conclusions as to what actually happened.
Our interviews with various experts and key players in the industry, the opinion is largely divided actually. Some say that there is no bubble, and some say that clearly the bubble, we're already in the midst of a bubble and it's waiting for the time for it to pop. Interestingly also, the film also examines that usually it's which interest do you stand for. It will shape the way you see whether there's a bubble. If you are with the banks, you want more investment, you say there's no bubble. If you are the ordinary buyer, clearly bubble as a definition would be the prices of these assets, these houses, is it in keeping with the level of people's ability to pay, meaning the people's income? And we all are very clear that Malaysian income in general has stagnated over the last 10 to 15 years while prices continue to rise. And I think maybe one last point on democracy, since the title of this year's Film Fest is on democracy. Usually we think of democracy in terms of elections or in a sense people's movements, but I think we can see from the West, economic forces seems to be overwhelming governments, and I think when we want to talk about democracy in the 21st century, perhaps at different times, different forces threaten a system or our society, and if we're not careful, I think 21st century global economics will be a very major influence on the health of a nation.
I want to highlight also to acknowledge some people, right? With this, the Film Fest is in cooperation with the Selangor State Government, and our representative here is Encik Hanafi Sudi. Also behind is the PJLA, representative from PJLA, Vivian Bob. Not PJLA, Jaya One, the venue. Yeah, Vivian Tung and Bob. So the festival is not just happening here. One of the areas is here, the other theatre. We'll also be having stalls at the bottom, of this place, and that space below is sponsored by Jaya One. So it's kind of like a festival.